Welcome back to From the Pages of WWF Magazine, the combined August-September 1985 issue. The cover sets the tone immediately with a collision of wrestling, pop culture, and media ambition. Cyndi Lauper is front and center in the language of the issue, framed not as a guest, but as a cultural force intersecting directly with the World Wrestling Federation. The headline leans playful and declarative at the same time, tying music, celebrity, and wrestling together in a way that feels very specific to this moment. Surrounding that centerpiece are promises of cartoons, movies, managers scheming, and island warriors, all signaling that the WWF in 1985 is no longer content to live in a single lane. Inside, the magazine opens with the WWF Mailbag grounding the spectacle in fan response. Letters from readers fill the page, and the editorial replies give the sense of an ongoing conversation rather than a broadcast. Praise, questions, excitement, and frustration coexist here, reinforcing that the WWF audience is deeply engaged and vocal. The mailbag functions as a reminder that the magazine is not just reporting on wrestling, but reacting to its community. An advertisement follows for Coliseum Video presents WrestleMania, loudly declaring the event as the greatest wrestling spectacle of all time and pushing the idea of wrestling as something you can take home with you. The ad lists availability, pricing, and the appeal of seeing the biggest matches on cassette. This moment matters. Wrestling is moving off live television and into living rooms in a new way, and the ad treats that shift as revolutionary. The table of contents lays out an ambitious issue. Hulk Hogan appears repeatedly, positioned not just as champion, but as ambassador. Jesse Ventura is framed as a voice, not just a body. The Island Boys are grouped as a cultural force. Bobby Heenan is sold as intellect and mischief incarnate. Lou Albano crosses into Hollywood. Cartoons, videos, fitness, foreign expansion, and celebrity partnerships all share space. The WWF is presented as a brand that wants to be everywhere at once. The magazine moves into foreign affairs, expanding the lens beyond domestic rings. This section discusses WWF's presence overseas, framing international tours as both opportunity and challenge. Wrestling is positioned as a global language, but one that requires adaptation. The tone suggests ambition tempered by awareness, reinforcing that expansion is not effortless. Next comes Amy Speaks Out, a column that shifts the focus to lifestyle. Food, health, and habits are discussed through a conversational lens. The column humanizes wrestlers by talking about what they eat and how they live, quietly reinforcing that these larger-than-life figures still operate within ordinary routines. The issue then pivots into one of its major features, Hulk at the circus, Hogan under the big top. Hogan is shown in a different environment, stepping into a circus setting that blends spectacle with charity and outreach. The article frames Hogan as approachable and enthusiastic, someone who can move seamlessly from the ring to community appearances. Photography reinforces this duality, showing the champion as both performer and presence. A related follow-up piece continues this theme, emphasizing Hogan in a non-traditional ring and including the perspective of a child attendee. The emotional tone here is intentional. The WWF wants Hogan associated with positivity, wonder, and accessibility, not just dominance. Advertisements reappear, including promotions for the WWF Action Line and magazine subscriptions. These pages are dense with phone numbers, prices, and promises, reflecting a pre-digital world where engagement requires effort. The WWF is building infrastructure, not just stories. The Around the Ring column brings the focus back to angles and personalities. Commentary touches on Bobby Heenan, Paul Orndorff, Roddy Piper, and others, weaving recent events into a broader narrative. The tone is analytical but playful, reinforcing that scheming and conflict are part of the entertainment. One of the issue's most important voice-driven features follows with Jesse Sounds Off. Jesse Ventura is presented not just as a former wrestler, but as a commentator with authority and edge. The article explores his transition into broadcasting, emphasizing his ability to command attention through voice and perspective. Behind-the-scenes imagery reinforces the idea that commentary itself is becoming a performance art. The magazine then shifts into the Island Boys feature, grouping Jimmy Snuka, Ricky Steamboat, and Don Morocco together under a shared cultural banner. The headline's phrasing acknowledges internal differences while emphasizing collective identity. Each wrestler is profiled individually, with attention to style, demeanor, and heritage. Photography alternates between action and portraiture, presenting them as both athletes and icons. Match references and comparative discussion add texture, reminding the reader that these identities are forged in competition, not just presentation. Additional features touch on the British Bulldogs as a rising tag team, framing them as exciting and athletic, and include a comparative look at Andre the Giant and King Kong Bundy, positioning them as contrasting embodiments of size and power. A fitness-focused piece involving Hillbilly Jim's physician brings the magazine back to health and conditioning, reinforcing that even the most exaggerated characters rely on physical preparation. As the issue winds down, smaller departments and features continue to layer the WWF world. Foreign tours, match memories, commentary, and lifestyle pieces all contribute to a sense of abundance. Nothing here feels minimal. The magazine is packed intentionally, reflecting a company expanding rapidly and eager to showcase every corner of its identity. By the final pages, WWF Magazine August, September 1985 reads as a manifesto of momentum. Wrestling is entertainment, athletics, celebrity, media, and merchandise all at once. The WWF is not asking for permission to grow. It is announcing that growth is already happening. See you next time, and farewell from the Empire State.